Okay, this podcast is about podcast movies featuring the A-listers of Hollywood. Can you name any that's done Parkinson's movies? Not very many. You have to go back a few years. There's been some recent movies, and I thought that I'd go in and talk about that some and visit on that with things that I've uncovered and talked about with people, and I've used certain things that you'll find in this podcast, and you've seen certain people here, but I cover the areas of education, entertainment, providing resources, and also inspiration. Well, coming to you today from Rodeo Drive on Beverly Hills. If you catch a parking meter there, you might find it to be kind of unusual. I know a few years ago I was meeting there with some people there with a client, some others, and we were sitting outside there, and I noted that the parking meter there had Duncan parking meter made in Harrison, Arkansas. Well, those have been around for a long time, but I think it's kind of a catch thing I use when I'm traveling and have done in the past. And I found them down in Buenos Aires and a lot of other places around the world. But catch it back to Harrison, Arkansas is kind of unique, and it's kind of important when you're talking to people to give credibility, particularly when you're in the software business. So this podcast is going to be about, movies that have been made involving Parkinson's. When you start researching that and doing a question on that, and then you put in something about A-listers, the top people in Hollywood doing a movie, there just not any. And they really want to point back to one movie in particular, which was done about 14 years ago. It's kind of the top of the list for most people because it does refer to Parkinson's in that, and it was the one that's called Love and Many Drugs. It was probably a turnoff for most people because just the rating itself was R for strong sexual content, nudity, pervasive language, and some drug material. So I know that maybe the conservative audience at that time didn't watch it, and I really didn't watch it, and I've just recently gone back to watch it because it did have some good red stars in here. Obviously, you go back and you look at it and you say, well, there's Anne Hathaway or Jake Gyllenhaal. Those could be considered today as A-listers, but maybe not 14 years ago. The only reason I wanted to bring that to attention is why has Hollywood sidestepped Parkinson's. I know there's been some attention to Michael J. Fox and some of his activities and some of the movies, but the movies he had, Back to the Future, he didn't talk about his Parkinson's, and that wasn't part of the storyline, but it is the outside story. And more recently, he's done some documentaries, but most of the things you find today are not in the box office hit type category, where Love and Other Drugs did take in over $100 million in the box office, and at that time it cost $30 million, or even that tells you something about there wasn't A-listers, or it would have been more expensive to produce at that time. So I'd like you to enjoy at this time sidestepping. Hollywood keeps sidestepping Parkinson's.
Is that a yes or a no?
Wonder why.
Ooh, I love to dance a little sidestep. Now they see me, now they don't. I've come and gone. And ooh, I love to sweep around the white step. cut a little swath and lead the people on. Ooh, I love to dance a little sidestep. Ooh, I love to sweep around the wide step. Cut a little swath and lead the people on.
Yeah, the largest minority is the people with disabilities. And that's about 13 trillion with a T when you include people with the disabilities and their family and then friends and the resources they have and how they are impacted. What part of that is Parkinson's is pretty hard to say exactly, but you might think that Parkinson's could be a substantial amount because you do have people there that have, I guess, found that they had Parkinson's at a later age, and sometimes even after they've retired from their working and jobs, so they've accumulated money and they have disposable income and they have assets that they're willing to spend on a lot of things. And I say that because there are people that will be interested in this because you have people with all kinds of needs there. The anxiety and depression are hit many times in his stories and my stories. And what the intent there is that some of the larger companies, and you can talk about a Walmart or Bass Pro or Tyson's or in Arkansas and some others across the country as far as motels like Marriott, American Airlines and others that need to make more of an awareness to their employees. So some of the things I'm doing with a podcast and some of the people I'm working with have valuable information for those people. And it's something that, the larger companies should sponsor in that regard in order to get it to their employees. I mean, you can think about a Remax on real estate, or you can think of banks, the larger banks in the country, need all their employees to be aware, because when you have a 30-year-old pro golfer who commits suicide, and two of the things that he had of issue were, of course, anxiety and depression. And, of course, he did have some issues with alcohol. But these are things that anybody in the workforce could experience. And these are things that we can help with our podcast and some of the other things that we're working on. So I wanted to make you aware of that. And this is a good opportunity to promote this podcast.
About 6 million.
Okay, let's do a fast check on the people that are called
from sources across the web.
A-listers in Hollywood.
Tom Hanks, Will Smith, Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Denzel Washington, Johnny Depp, Robert Downey Jr., George Clooney, show less. Feedback, A-List Actors MDD, www.imdb.com. List, IMDb, www.imdb.com.list. A-List Actors 1, Al Pacino 2, Tommy Lee Jones 3, Harrison Ford 4, Robert De Niro 5, Kevin Costner 6, Val Kilmer 7, Johnny Depp 8, Liam Neeson. People also ask, what is considered an A-list actor? Who are all the A-list actors? What is a B-list celebrity? What is a Z-list actor? Feedback. Meet the new A-list, the 10 young movie stars taking The Hollywood Reporter, www.hollywoodreporter.com. Movie features, The Hollywood Reporter, www.hollywoodreporter.com.movie features. May 24, 2024, Austin Butler, Timothy Chalamet, Jacob Elordi, Paul Mescal, Jenna Ortega, Glenn Powell, Florence Pugh, Sydney Sweeney. A list Wikipedia.wikipedia.org.wiki A-list. Wikipedia, n.wikipedia.org.wiki A-list. An A-list actor is a major movie star or one of the most bankable actors in the film industry. The A-list is part of a larger guide called The Hot List. 5 movies every person with Parkinson's disease should watch. Almost anyone can appreciate these films about how the condition can affect relationships, be helped by exercise, and inspire greatness in everyday life. By Riley Bradford, updated on April 24th, 2018. All products and services featured here are chosen for their potential to inspire and enable your wellness. Everyday Health may earn an affiliate commission on items you purchase. Movies are used as vessels to either escape reality or connect with the reality we live in now. For those who have experience with Parkinson's disease, these films serve both purposes. If you or a loved one has Parkinson's, you know how draining it can be, physically as well as emotionally. The condition is also associated with high rates of depression and anxiety. The Parkinson's Foundation estimates that at least 50% of those diagnosed with the disease will experience some form of depression, while 40% will be diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. That can make for a lot of bad days, and sometimes the best cure for a bad day is to watch a movie that reflects what you're going through. The films listed here range from tear-jerking love stories to historical dramas to inspiring documentaries. Here are the best out there. 1. Love and Other Drugs, 2010. Jake Gyllenhaal stars as Jamie, the charming, handsome drug salesman who meets Maggie Ann Hathaway, a woman with early-onset Parkinson's disease. One thing leads to another, and in spite of their stated desire to keep things casual, a relationship begins. The film follows the highs and lows of Jamie and Maggie's love story, including the strain the disease puts on it. A beautiful story about looking past hardship and making sacrifices for the one you love, and Other Drugs is an eye-opening film that will definitely turn on the waterworks. Rated R for strong sexual content, nudity, profanity, and drug material. Love and Other...
Okay, the introduction into the convention, I had to mute that because of a lot of F words, but you can go and find the clip or watch the movie if you want to see those, but I thought it would be better to not have those into a video or podcast such as this.
My husband is always smiling.
Parkinson's has made me more sensitive, more compassionate. Hopefully got a long way to go in all this. I feel good. And
so it's a constant battle of trying to maintain some dignity and grace in society. And to overcome that, you just live with what you have.
Offering to hold the kid for just a minute, and he ends up in that tree over there. One of my girlfriends asked me once if she could get me anything. I said, how about a new brain, nothing fancy? She said, my husband's not using his. Wait. Oh, never mind, sorry. I thought I heard a cure coming. But there are good things. You have to understand that you're still yourself. You're still there. And life goes on. And life is beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, back from Rodeo Drive. The Awakening was kind of surprising and amazing that it had about the same box office, although it came out a little earlier than Love and Other Drugs, and it had about the same cost, about $30 million. So both were quite profitable, not like some of the big losers that we've seen over the last few months or years. So, the reasons for not having better quality movies about people with Parkinson's is not financial. It's just the people taking the risk of dealing with people, as I've stated and other people stated. If you met one person with Parkinson's, you've met one person with Parkinson's, and unfortunately, the stereotypical person has been kind of become Michael J. Fox, and there's good and bad in that.
Amazon.com Awakenings, 1990. The movie Awakenings is based on the nonfiction book by the same name by Oliver Sacks, MD, about patients he encountered in 1969 in a hospital in the Bronx, New York, who had been frozen by encephalitis lethargica, a severe viral disease that spread throughout the world between 1917 and 1928. The disease killed many of its victims and left many others in a catatonic state now known as post-encephalitic Parkinsonism. The drug that awakened these patients was the then new L-Dopa or levodopa, which is still used in the treatment of Parkinson's disease today. The film version of Awakenings was nominated for 3 Academy Awards and features performances by Robin Williams as the doctor, Julie Kavner as a nurse, and Robert De Niro as one of the patients. Rated PG-13, Awakenings, $3.99. Parkinson's Foundation, www.parkinson.org. Blog awareness. July 14, 2021, before Robin Williams was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia, it was reported that he had been experiencing paranoia, confusion, insomnia. The suicide of actor and comedian Robin Williams last month and the subsequent revelation that he was newly diagnosed with Parkinson's disease gave rise to. Robin Williams had a disease that mimics Alzheimer's. PBS www.pbs.org. NewsHour show, Dementia.
Great to be here, and I appreciate the partnership with APDA through the years. You've been an important partner in advocating around public policy issues, and you mentioned UPAC. That's a broad-based effort to draw in as many Parkinson's and Parkinsonisms organizations as possible, so that on policy issues we're speaking with one voice. And a prime example of what that will get us is the National Plan to End Parkinson's Act.
Can you please give us a brief overview of the National Plan to End PD and the significance of it for our community?
Absolutely. And I will state at the outset that this was not my original idea. I saw what was working really well for the Alzheimer's community and thought, you know what, we're the second fastest growing neurodegenerative disease in the world, and we need a national plan to address Parkinson's, both research, care, diagnostics, the whole 9 yards. So what the national plan does is it establishes an advisory council of federal and non-federal members. That on the non-federal, they're all going to be people, experts in Parkinson's, including Parkinson's patients, caregivers, providers, researchers, and at the federal appointees will all have some role to play in the Parkinson's paradigm. So the advisory council will be established, will require the Secretary of Health and Human Services to submit a report to Congress, also identifying level of research funding that needs to happen. And just, to put it in perspective, with Alzheimer's, their research funding went from roughly $450 million a year to the most recent fiscal year, $3.8 billion. They've had a massive increase. And in the Parkinson's space, the federal government spends about 100 times more money caring for people with Parkinson's than they do researching the underlying disease. And we think that's got to be changed, significantly changed.
So, how much more clinical can you get as far as having these people talk about ending Parkinson's or any kind of a plan? I'm sure that it just gets everybody excited.
A lot of times we're in a position where we fend for ourselves. And I'm speaking from personal example. I was kind of diagnosed 12 years ago, but I kind of muddled around. I did a lot of things and went on as normal as you can be.
Did you feel like you were normal?
Well, I did some things that were like I had done before, but we were going through a phase, even in the commercial aspect of it, where 9/11 had impacted some of the things I had done in the past as far as international travel. And so I started working with companies in the U.S. and did a limited amount of travel, but I was having some difficulties with my walk. And actually, 8 years ago, I'd had major surgery and had, with a titanium rod put in. And I found out after that I had a dropped foot, and I actually was not a whole lot better. And Dr. Tuan Vermani at UMS looked at it a little closer, and he determined that it was Parkinson, which I had taken the test, a full day test in 2012, that they had failed to, determine that, which that was their charge, was to find out that. So
Intent to do what?
Intent to speak clearer, sharper, And yeah, it's
That's
we
good.
do that. There's a class on that, and then we later on have workshops, and so it's something that's ongoing. But I wanted to say that because about 4 years ago, I got into rocksteady boxing, and again, these are ideas that are out there, and they're very nominal as far as cost. They're not anything excessive, and sometimes they're not very much cost at all. But in rocksteady boxing, you had a chance to meet a lot of people that were having late stage later life Parkinson, where it was a little bit different. You had a lot of people that had a lot of resources as far as what they had done in life and a lot of stories to tell. But when I did that, I got to talking to people, and it really kind of, the camaraderie was as big a plus as maybe some of the physical exercise. And I don't want to sell that short.
Excuse me, was that covered by insurance?
It was really just a nominal charge, about $45 a month, and it wasn't, that part wasn't covered, but a lot of things were, as far as using the gym facilities and other things here. So
$45 a month.
I investigated Little Rock. It's a little bit more, but still, it's a good program, and I've been in a new facilities or new home that I live in. I have access to a swimming pool that's a real good therapy pool, in the sense it's 50 yards away. I can go down and use that, and plan to be back into rocksteady boxing here in Little Rock in the fall when the weather kind of changes and I can't use the outdoor pool as much. So I'm still doing a lot of therapy and working on a lot of things. So, but to get that point across is that if I was sitting there as an individual, and I've seen that in some cases where people isolate themselves and they just get further and further away from people,
right,
and they start losing their voice, and a lot of issues come about.
Physical strength.
Yeah, the thing about seeing a Parkinson doctor, and I'm saying one that takes care of you and looks at the test, and you get tests every quarter, and then maybe a major test every 6 months, but you know exactly where you are and where your level is. And that's the thing you have to do when you look at a person with Parkinson's, whether it's the president speaking, is not what he's doing today, it's what he did yesterday, 6 months ago, or a year, and see where he's going to be in the next 6 months or a year. Yeah. I'm not saying it as a political statement, but anybody like myself, and that's one of the benefits of doing a podcast, is people can see where I am and what kind of things I'm doing and how it's, how effective it is. So that's one of the things I want to measure. I've got some videos from a year ago, and I've been doing quite a few more since I moved to Little Rock, and that's part of it is sort of self-serving, but it's also an opportunity for other people to tell their story. So it's kind of a long answer, but that's kind of my story as to how I got to where I am and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And we can talk a little more in detail, but I think what you bring to the table in the sense of your ideas is that it's much like when I was watching the Q&A, I was pretty caught up by Ted Thompson's talking about the fact that when they came up with this act, it wasn't so much new ideas, but it was based on the fact that they had seen something similar with Alzheimer's. And I think what you bring to the table is you have a lot of ideas that are a lot broader than Parkinson. So I wanted for you to get into some of the things that you found and give the differences of somebody just as a babysitter, but somebody that does take a lot more interest in the care, and whatever you want to call that service is something you're kind of working on, and articles you're writing to technology or to medical journals that you want to kind of talk about this. So what are you seeing? Maybe from the past, you might give an example of something you saw that somebody had been kind of written off, but you were able to give. I chose this clip particularly because of Dr. Lida Kreiner's great listening skills. You can tell she's listening by the thoughtful questions she asks, and very direct questions. Again, when people are thinking about selecting people to a task force, and I'm thinking that's what we're attempting to do, is be on the task force for the national plan as far as the the Parkinson's Act, and that's the end of Parkinson's. So I think this is a good example of what Dr. Kreiner brings to the table. Lida has similar in situations where she had been sitting with people that were in a coma-like situation, and then we're able to take care of them and bring them back to an awakening.
5. Back to the Future, 1985, 1989, 1990. While Parkinson's disease does not directly play a role in any of the Back to the Future movies, they all star Michael J. Fox, who has since become one of the best-known individuals alive with Parkinson's disease. The actor was diagnosed in 1991, and he has used his name recognition as a platform to build awareness of the condition, Parkinson's in film and TV. Inspiration Living Well, June 1, 2023. On May 12, Apple TV Plus released Still, a Michael J. Fox movie. The film weaves together multiple aspects of Fox's life, from his rise to fame to the many ways Parkinson's influences his life and his family. While Still is receiving significant press and has garnered many positive reviews, most significantly, it comes on the heels of a recent surge in popular media featuring Parkinson's. In the past year, Parkinson's is featured prominently in multiple shows and movies, including Kaleidoscope, a Netflix crime drama series, Shrinking, an Apple TV Plus comedy series, The Pros and Cons of Parkinson's Media Representations. The surge in representation of Parkinson's in popular media is not perfect. For one thing, some representations of Parkinson's may be emotionally challenging for people with Parkinson's and their care partners to watch. Additionally, even a movie that explored Parkinson's extensively, like Still and The Long Road to Hope, cannot demonstrate the full scope of how Parkinson's can impact a person's life. Parkinson's is too complicated, and each person's experience is too unique for that to be feasible. So, please always keep that in mind whenever you watch a representation of Parkinson's in popular culture. Despite these limitations, representations in popular media on balance are good for the Parkinson's community because they increase awareness of the far-reaching effects of Parkinson's. Moreover, that these recent stories have been released so close together contributes to the awareness that Parkinson's is increasingly common. Big media depictions of Parkinson's, what they get right and what they get wrong. Shrinking. This Apple TV Plus series focuses on the lives of 3 therapists in Southern California. One character, Dr. Paul Rhodes, played by Harrison Ford, is living with Parkinson's. Like Esposito in Kaleidoscope, Ford depicts Parkinson's effectively. He often keeps one hand hidden in a pocket or on his lap to hide his tremor, and he often moves rigidly with a shuffling gait and reduced arm swing. One of Paul's principal challenges is whether and how to tell his family about his diagnosis. Another issue he faces is whether he should stop driving because of issues he's experiencing with his vision. Shrinking does a generally good job of depicting Parkinson's, and although the series is a comedy, Parkinson's is presented in a way that balances humor and seriousness. One issue that stands out as not so great is Ford's character's questionable relationship with his neurologist, whom he seems to see more frequently than is feasible. The Zone. The Zone is a movie that shares the story, philosophy, and legacy of Rob Wood, a renowned Canadian climber, as he embarks on a climb with friends following his Parkinson's diagnosis. Love and Other Drugs. Love and Other Drugs is a movie starring Anne Hathaway as Maggie Murdoch, a person living with young-onset Parkinson's, YOPD. This film explores Parkinson's and the issues those living with YOPD face, including medication management, alternative diagnoses, and relationships. The film presents Maggie's experience living with YOPD in considerable detail and focuses extensively on how Parkinson's, especially young onset Parkinson's, can influence relationships. The film presents a detailed picture of Parkinson's, but there are some minor aspects that the film gets wrong. One example is when Maggie mistakenly calls MSA multiple system atrophy, MAS, when discussing differential diagnoses with a physician. Another is when Maggie casually tells a physician she is taking domperidone, a medication with a complicated approval history at the FDA. The physician doesn't inquire about the circumstances. While this is a minor oversight, it stands out because the movie's plot centers on a pharmaceutical salesman whose work involves newly approved medications.
So your file says kind of an emergency.
Yeah. My apartment was burgled yesterday and they took my Parkinson's meds. But my symptoms are pretty good today, so it's kind of an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're Lily rep, Trey Hannigan. He asked me to squeeze me in, so.
Yeah, Trey's a great guy.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say that.
So, monotherapy?
Yep, cinnamon CR, 50 milligrams 2 times a day, plus domperidone to cut the nausea, 10 milligrams 3 times a day, Artane for the tremor, 2 milligrams, a whole tablet 3 times a day, and Prozac, so that I'm not too bummed about having a major degenerative disorder at 26, 40 milligrams once in the morning.
Zoloft has fewer side effects.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Jamie Randall,
Oh. Hi.
intern.
So, early onset Parkinson's, that's pretty rare.
Yeah. First they thought it was essential tremor, then Wilson's disease, then Huntington's. Then they tested for MAS, PSP, syphilis. I was very glad for a negative on that one. I didn't really relish the thought of feeling like a 19th century slut. Let's see. Then there was brain tumor week, which was very scary. And then 6 months chasing obscure dystonias, but no, it just turned out to be good old-fashioned Parkinson's.
Right. And, did you have a neurologist?
We broke up.
And, do you have insurance?
Do I have insurance?
Okay. Well, sure. Why not?
Great.
And I'm bored.
What are you bored of?
Parkinson's isn't my life. I have Parkinson's. Why can't I just live my life instead of becoming this project?
Do you
know that what's ahead of me is bad enough?
Don't you want to get...
No, you want. This has become way too important to you.
What are you talking about? Don't you want to get better?
Yes, desperately. It's not going to happen. All right, newsflash, there's no cure. Apparently, you need to know that I'll get better in order to love me.
That's the same.
You need to get your stuff out of my apartment.
What the hell?
You're on the fast track, Randall. Chicago, then management, next stop CEO. Can't do that with a sick person holding you back.
I can do anything I want.
I know. You're a good man. I meant you're a wonderful man. You're much better than you give yourself credit for. Nobody wants to be the one who runs away.
I'm not running away.
It's not your choice. Let's just go home. We can even make love. And then you have to leave.
This is so stupid.
Stop.
We don't have to do this.
Goodbye.
Okay, I've had some previous podcasts on the impact of Parkinson's and relationships and marriage, and you can see that as shown in this movie.
Awakenings. Awakenings is a movie portrayal of neurologist Oliver Sacks's 1969 use of levodopa to treat people experiencing Parkinsonism following the 1917-1928 encephalitis lethargica epidemic. Robert De Niro stars in the film as one of the people treated by Dr. Sachs. In an interview about the film, Dr. Sachs praised De Niro's performance as a person living with Parkinsonism, saying, "I think in an uncanny way, De Niro did somehow feel his way into being Parkinsonian. So much so that sometimes when we were having dinner afterwards, I would see his foot curl, or he would be leaning to one side as if he couldn't seem to get out of it. I think it was uncanny the way things were incorporated."
Modern neuropathology would even allow us to actually locate the damage in the Parkinsonian brain. Yes. With our development of the drug L-Dopa, we can for the first time promise the Parkinsonian patient a more normal life. By administering L2.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very curious about this drug, and I wonder if you've come across anyone who might have had...
Excuse me, Dr.
Sayer. I'm curious if you've come across any patients with encephalitis.
After I'm through, Dr. Sayer, if you wouldn't mind.
Excuse me.
Well, as I was saying, by administering L-Dopa...
Do you think a simple Parkinsonian tremor taken to its furthest extreme would appear as no tremor at all?
Are you talking to me?
Oh, yes. Imagine that you accelerated a simple Parkinsonian hand tremor to the point of immobility. Well, suppose there's a patient with all the Parkinsonian compulsions accelerated. The hand tremor, the head bobbing, ticking, quickening of speech. Might they not all cave in on themselves and in effect turn a person into stone?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, do you think L-Dopa would help this situation?
Dr. Sayers, right? I'm just a chemist, doctor. You're the physician. I'll leave it to you to do the damage.
Well, you know, Freud believed in miracles, prescribing cocaine like it was candy. And we all believed in the miracle of cortisone until our patients went psychotic on it. And now it's L-Dopa?
Well, with all due respect, I think it's rather too soon to say that.
Well, with all due respect, Doctor, I think it's rather way too soon to say that. Let the chemist do the damage, Doctor.
But I... Dr. Kaufman?
Yeah.
Did you read this case? New drug lets shaking palsy patients eat Jell-O.
Yes, I read them, Doctor. I read them all, dutifully, soberly. All 30 cases had Parkinsons, mild Parkinsons. Your Parkies, Doctor, if that's what they are, haven't moved in decades.
Perhaps you should look at it again, sir.
Now, you know better than to make a leap like that. You want there to be a connection. That doesn't mean there is one.
What I believe, what I know, is these people are alive inside.
How do you know that, Doctor? Because they catch tennis balls?
I know it.
How many did you think I'd let you put on it?
All of them. Some. One.
One. With the family's consent, signed.
Ray Donovan. On the Showtime crime drama Ray Donovan, the main character's older brother Terry is a former boxer who lives with Park. Terry receives deep brain stimulation DBS surgery and experiences complications and a lack of treatment effectiveness because of his lifestyle. Documentaries. There are also many documentary movies about people living with Parkinson's and their families. Here are 6 great examples. Muhammad Ali, My Father, My Brother, and Me, Capturing Grace, Ride with Larry, Hand.
Okay, you'll find the following 4 have been in all of my podcasts.
4 ways media about Parkinson's can help you live well with Parkinson's. In addition to helping spread awareness about Parkinson's to a broad global audience, here are 4 ways that representations of Parkinson's can help you live well with Parkinson's. Number 1, education. A documentary movie, especially one such as The Long Road to Hope, can be explicitly educational, and you might learn new facts about Parkinson's or new ways to manage your symptoms by watching them. Even fictional depictions can be helpful in this regard, but carefully examine any idea before incorporating it into your care plan. Number 2, entertainment. Thinking about and living with Parkinson's can occupy a lot of your energy, and sometimes you might want entertainment that helps you forget about Parkinson's for a while. However, there can also be value in seeing how other people, whether real or fictional, live with Parkinson's. So while you might decide to watch something for its educational value, you might also appreciate simply watching someone experience something similar to what you experience. Number 3, providing you with resources to share. A movie or show that features Parkinson's can help you by providing resources through which you can help educate others about Parkinson's. This can be useful for people you are close to and with whom you might cross paths. 4, inspiration. Whether you are watching a documentary or a work of fiction, one of the best things that can happen is that you find inspiration to take constructive action in your life. Like Dr. Stutz, you may be inspired to increase the vigor with which you try to accomplish your goals or find small ways to help yourself remain mobile and motivated. Or, unlike Terry Donovan, you may be inspired to be cautious following surgery. Or, like Jimmy Choi, Rob Wood, and many others who have shared their stories in documentaries, you may be inspired to explore and expand your physical limits, grow wiser and stronger, and help raise awareness about Parkinson's.
9 years old. Now 62, he's lived with the disease for more than half his life. Since its creation back in 2000, the Michael J. Fox Foundation has funded nearly, check this number out, $2 billion worth of Parkinson's research. We caught up with Fox to talk about the evolving changes of living with the disease and the global impact of his foundation.
They didn't have money, they didn't have a voice, and I thought, well, I could step in for these people and raise some hell.
After more than 3 decades of living with Parkinson's disease, Michael J. Fox is raising a lot more than just hell.
It's impossible to put into words.
He's raising the bar and a whole lot of money for Parkinson's research. Earlier this year, a landmark clinical study led by his foundation discovered a biomarker, a protein found in spinal fluid that can help detect Parkinson's in patients, and in some cases, even years before the first symptoms of the disease appear.
It's like a cure, but it's a big spotlight on where we need to go and what we need to focus on. So we know we're on the right path, and we're very proud.
Parkinson's disease is a progressive brain disorder that over time can strip away a person's movement and speech. There is no cure.
Have you had moments where you didn't always have this handsome smile on your face and things maybe seemed a little bleak and dark, and you found yourself battling what might seem like depression or uncertainty?
Yesterday at 3:57 in the afternoon. I mean, always.
Always? Really?
Always. The positivity is really sincere, and I really feel it, and it's genuine. But it's hard fought. And it's hard won, I should say. This fear, we can find ways to just give ourselves a break, give ourselves credit and for getting through life on life's terms. And in order to do that, we have to stop and say, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Last time we talked, I learned a little bit more about you. I learned a little bit more about myself. And just right now, that was another moment where you were very honest, saying, yeah, yesterday I had those moments where things weren't.
Fear.
You had fear. And as an athlete with an ego and bravado, I hid that fear for a long time. And now I'm a little bit more open with myself and my family about when I am struggling, when things are dark. So I just want to say thank you for saying that.
Yeah, the opposite of fear is faith.
The whole idea is if you're true to yourself and you're true to the people that love you, everything's going to be okay.
What will we do, baby, without us?
And Fox's Corner for the last 35 years has been his biggest advocate, fan, and partner. His wife, Tracy Pollen. who he met on the set of Family Ties in 1985. What is it like to have her with you every step of the way?
Well, it's great for me. I don't know how it is for her, but you know, I love Tracy, and obviously, and she's an amazing person, and has gone through a lot.
So the most important question will remain: what will it take to eradicate this disease once and for all?
Then I realized that she has a life separate apart from me having Parkinson's, separate apart from me being Alex Keaton or Marty McFly. That she's a person, and I think that's why it's gone okay. I figured that out.
Up top.
I had no idea what to expect. Neither did she, but she kind of indicated to me by saying better or for worse. And sickness and health that she was gonna hang out and get me through it, or go through it with me, and she has for 35 years.
For better, for worse, those words have a different meaning.
Like I would say, we knew the bus was coming, and it was gonna hit, but we didn't know how far away it was, and how fast it was going. So, it really, I mean, any time she would have been forgiven. To say, I always just step out, and but she didn't do that.
Again, the question has to be asked: where is Hollywood, the A-listers as far as actors, in this matter of dealing with Parkinson's? They're MIA, missing in action.